Hey, so today I'm going to go over the key fob. The key fob. I had a recent subscriber, thanks very much by the way, that wanted me to do a video on this to kind of explain a little bit more. And I think it's important because, as you guys know that have these ADV 150s and some other bikes, they don't have a key anymore, like a physical key. Honda's resorted to this key fob, they call it. It can be a little tricky to work with, and it's also a little discouraging when you get out there and you can't get your ignition to start. So that's going to be another video, but this first video here, I just want to go over the fob, kind of explain what the buttons on this are a little bit more, and how it communicates to the bike. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of testing here. According to the manual, let's say you got the bike started. Here, I'm going to put this in my pocket. I'm going to put the key fob in my pocket right here. All right. So let's say you've been riding the bike, you hit your kill switch, you're ready to go. So basically, when you turn the bike off, you can see it's in the off position. Within 20 seconds, if you just walk away from the bike, okay? Just walk away. You don't have to actually, in other words, you don't have to press this key and lock it. According to the manual, if you just walk away for about 20 seconds, go do your business, the bike will automatically lock, okay? So I'm gonna test that theory. I'm just trying to wait, has it been like 20 seconds? And I'm away from the bike at least 6 feet. I think the manual said, let me say, it was something like 6.5 feet proximity that you have to be in the range with the key fob. Okay, so I think it's been about 20 seconds. Let's go check. Now if I go to the bike and I try to do I didn't wait long enough, okay? 20 seconds, okay, it's off. You know what though? I'm stupid, I have my key fob on me. So let's put the key fob over here, which is further than 6 feet away or 6.5 feet away. So in other words, you don't really have to like lock the vehicle. As long as you have that key fob on you and in your pocket, on your person, you can put the ignition switch in off and you can walk away, and after about 20 seconds, the ignition will lock. So let's give it a little bit more time. I think it's been about 20 seconds. Now my key fob is right here, like I said, which is a lot more than 6 feet away. So let's go back to the bike and let's see if it works. Yeah, so I cannot open that, it is locked. So that's pretty cool. I actually didn't know that. When I got off the bike, when I parked and went into the convenience store or something, I would actually lock the ignition with the key fob. But apparently you don't have to do that. So that's pretty cool. So just remember, and I'll show you here in the manual, right there, it says that's the proximity range, 6.6 feet, 2 meters. And you can see that square going around the bike. If you're anywhere in that proximity with this on you, basically that's like putting a key in the ignition and turning it on. So you're free and clear to start the bike or unlock the seat, whatever. So you got to keep that in mind. If you go into a store and you put your key fob in your pocket, keep in mind, if you're parked right outside that store, or if there's a window and you get within 6 feet of that bike, somebody can come up there and turn the key on and go. Now, how rare is that going to be? I don't know. So another thing I wanted to show you, I don't know if you can see it real well. The top button there, the top choice, that is called an answer back button. So what that means is, like, let's say you're out drinking. No, I'm kidding. If you're out and you can't find your bike, it's, you know, it's probably not going to be an issue for most people because you know where you park your bike. But let's say you're in a crowded place and there's a lot of bikes around, or you're in a big parking garage for whatever reason. This answer back button, check it out. When you press that, see what happens to the bike? Let me get a little closer. I'm going to press this top button. So what happens, the indicators flash, and what's really cool is this right here, the ignition, this ring light will stay illuminated until you find your bike. Apparently that's the way to do it. Now, if you can't, so if you're in a dark place and you're trying to find the bike, all right, you can keep pressing this. See, every time you press this call button, the signals, the front and the back, check it out. And like I said, the ignition switch illuminates. So that's what this button is for right here. It's just basically to find your bike if you can't for some odd reason. I don't think I'd ever have to do that, but you never know. That ring will light for about, I'm reading here, for about 1 minute. So if you can't find it, don't worry, that ring's not going to illuminate for hours. It's just going to last for about 60 seconds, okay? If the bike sat for about 10 days, this feature's not going to work anymore. So apparently if it sits too long, then you're going to have to get in proximity with this, and you have to find your bike actually manually. And once you do the ignition, that 10-day restart like counts again. Like basically it's another 10 days from that, if that makes sense. So the key fob, I'm kind of been one of these people that, you know, just give me a key, let me put it in ignition and be good to go. I don't know if you can see it real well, but this tool allows you to gain access to the bike when your key fob doesn't work anymore, and that's going to be another video. And you have to use that in a correlation with this, which is kind of like a jumper. Okay, this jumper, I got this from Honda. They sent this to me in the mail. So I just keep all this stuff together, right? I keep the jumper, I keep the access, and this is for the side panel, and I keep obviously my key fob. I keep all this together. But I'll do another video on this because it gets a little tricky. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of these. I guess they're okay for convenience factor, but to me, I don't know, it's just too much to go wrong. And you don't want to be hours away from home, or you know, not have cell signal, and this doesn't work anymore. So what I recommend is get the manual, and I'll include a link below the video where you can download the service, not the service manual, but the user's manual, and it'll show you how to use all these different gadgets, okay? Because like I said, the worst thing you want to be is hours away from home and you can't contact anybody and you can't unlock your ignition. That's why I don't really like this feature. I mean, I get it where Honda tried to make this convenient, and it is, it's great. You just put this in your pocket, walk up to the bike, and there you go. I'm old school, so I don't like the system itself. I don't know why, that's just me, but it is convenient. It is pretty cool, but I think they should have an easier way to unlock it instead of going through all this jazz where you have to put this, and this gets a little complicated. There's a code that you got to put in and use the ignition button. I'll show you in the next video, but hope this helped. Really, it's basically simple. Do not keep this in here. Let me show you. What I used to do is I used to keep this in the side panel, right? I would just put it in here and I'd go in the house, okay? But what happens with that is, since this uses low radio waves going back and forth, if you leave this in the bike, what's happening is this is always communicating with the motorbike, and it has a chance to drain the batteries. So what you want to do, plus it's free and clear. If somebody does get in your garage or whatever, they can start that bike and go. So don't ever leave this in the bike, in the seat or in the side panel or anywhere. Keep this on you, and if you're storing your bike, keep this in the house at least 6 feet, 7 feet away from the bike, okay? Then you won't have any damage of draining any battery. So I know some of my subscribers they're more mature in age like me. I'm not saying I'm old, but I wanted to shoot this out here too. So guys, gals, if you are someone that has a pacemaker, this, since it uses the low voltage waves, whatever they call it, let me see, low intensity radio waves, there's always a technical term for it. This could interfere with the pacemaker, so just keep that in mind. Now, I don't think it's something that's going to be like you're going to just get affected by that, but you know, Honda has to put that in the disclosures that, hey, this could interfere because it uses those low, I can't even say that, oh my God, low intensity radio waves. Whew, I need more coffee. But yes, that could interfere with a pacemaker potentially. So not good, but something you should keep in mind if you have one of those. And that's probably, I don't know if any of my subscribers have a pacemaker, but I know, like I said, we have some mature people that subscribe to my channel and love to ride these scooters, but it's just something to keep in mind I wanted to throw out there. I guess another thing that you have to keep in mind, if you do park your motorbike in areas where there's like radio towers, airports, let's see what else, power stations, things of that nature, that could potentially interfere with your key fob. So again, Honda just has to put this stuff out there. I mean, I don't know how often anyone would do that, but I'm just reading here that, also mobile phones, okay? Honda claims that right here, it says anything, if your key fob, I wonder if that was part of my problem when I was having an issue with I had a video where my key fob, not my key fob, but the dash light, the key that like shows on your LCD dash, it kept blinking. Well, I think because I had my cell phone plugged in with one of the cigarette lighter adapter, or the 12 volts, not really a cigarette lighter, it's a 12 volt adapter in the side of the bike. My dash light kept flashing for my key fob, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, I even changed the batteries in this, both of them, and it still did it. So I'm like, what's going on? So really haven't had a solid answer, but it almost is like it's saying there's some type of interference, radio wave interference between the key fob and the bike. So possibly when I put my phone adapter, right, into the 12 volt adapter to charge my phone and use it as a GPS, I think it was causing that key symbol to blink on my dash. That's the only thing I can figure out, because the batteries are good and it really didn't affect the bike any. Actually, it did one time. I could not start the bike. I could not turn the ignition when I was like hours away, just like the scenario I was telling you before. I could not turn the ignition. And I don't know why, but finally it worked. But I think it's because I was using my 12 volt adapter charging my cell phone. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so what I did was I basically just had this in my pocket. I locked the bike, and I'll show you. I locked the bike right here. See, I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, it's in the lock position, the dial, right? And my handlebars, basically they're locked. They're locked, okay? So what I did was I just basically walked away from the bike. So when you get outside of, see, you saw the indicators? When you get outside of 6.5 feet, it automatically locks. So I learned something new today. I mean, I was basically, every time, I was a little paranoid. So every time I got off the bike and I went into like the convenience store or something to get a drink, I would always press and lock this. So apparently you don't have to do that. You can just walk away as long as this is on you within 6.5 feet or greater out. So that's really cool. I kind of like that feature, and it allows you to hop off and on the bike real quick without having to worry about pushing buttons and stuff. It's just a proximity. It's a proximity key that uses the low voltage. So hope this helps, guys. I don't know if you have any more questions, leave it down below. And like I said, I'll put the link to the manual down there. So make some notes and stay tuned for the next video. Like I said, that I'm going to cover those if for some reason the key fob doesn't work anymore. Okay.